I'm calling the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming out this evening. Could y'all please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Aldridge is going to lead us in the invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for this beautiful day that you've blessed us with, and I thank you for our home here in Lynn Haven, Florida, Father. I thank you, Lord God, that these citizens and these patriots that live here have come out today because they do care about their home and their community, Father. And I thank you, Lord, and I ask right now that you would guide by your Holy Spirit the discussion that goes forth today, that you would help us to use wisdom and that our eyes would be opened, and that we would all conduct ourselves in a loving and professional manner. And I thank you so much for all of the things that are going on in our future here. We have a bright future, and I give you all the glory for it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 3. It's a public hearing notice. The stated time is 6:02 for a proposed community redevelopment agency budget for FY 2021. City Manager, I believe you've got a report.
This report is that we do have a resolution that we have to read after the comments were made. So no more comments in terms of this budget. We had a workshop and there were no changes to this budget.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any commissioners have any comments they'd like to make? Is there any public comment? Hearing none, what is the purview of the commission?
I make the motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is any other comments with the commission? Any with the public? City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Would you like for me to read the resolution?
Oh, I'm sorry.
first?
Yes, ma'am. Please read the resolution.
A resolution of the City of Lynn Haven of Bay County, Florida, adopting the final Community Redevelopment Agency budget for fiscal year 2020-2021, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. I always forget to do that. Sorry about that. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes. Motion carries. Public hearing closed, 6:04. Item number 4, public hearing opened, 6:05. Proposed millage rate for 2020 tax rolls. City Manager, you've got some comments?
Yes, with this proposed millage rate, there are some increases here, but we discussed in our workshop some of the areas of revenue that have gone down from the state and county. And so none of the budget itself has changed, and I recommend that we adopt the 4.3.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any comments with the commission?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. I just kind of want to reiterate what we spoke about. I would just like to reiterate what we spoke about in the workshop that we had earlier today. If this does pass, I do want everyone to rest assured that we would like to try and look and see if we can lower these rates next year. That's something we're going to work hard on. There's nothing we can promise, but I believe there will be some changes. We discussed, between Hurricane Michael and COVID, obviously economic impacts are pretty rough on us right now. But as soon as we have more heads in beds and we have more, the population growth that's going to take place, we're going to see a change. And so please don't think this is a trend that is going to continue. And that's all I'll say about that. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, ma'am.
If I may, with due respect to Commissioner Aldridge, and you all know how I felt about it last time, I still feel the same way. I feel like the timing is way off to increase taxes. And as beds and heads and things that you just said, it's the same way for the people. We have people who are losing their jobs even today, people who've been reduced to half pay, people going on food stamps that get maybe $20 or $30 a week if they're lucky. I think it's just the wrong time to hit them now, because it's not just the businesses that are suffering. And we all are very aware of that here locally, how bad it is. But everybody that works for those businesses that have been laid off and all those types of things. I just think it's the wrong time. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So any other comments with the commission? So anybody in the public have a comment? Yes, sir, Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker, since you're the first one up, I'm not picking on you, but I just want to remind everybody that we're working on the 3-minute time limit for discussion, sir.
No, I know the rules.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
try and keep it within 3 minutes.
Yes, sir, thank
Um,
you.
This always comes up, no disrespect, but once it goes up, it never goes down. Okay, that's happened. And since the rollback went 10 years ago, it's gone up, 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 and it's back and up and over. Most of us in the demographics of this city did not lose our paycheck. Most of us didn't. None of the teachers, the police, you commissioners, the retired people who were on fixed incomes, they didn't lose their salary. Certain people did. The service people definitely suffered. Okay, that's true. But we paid our taxes all along. We kept going, all right? Now we turn around and this is our payback. We're going to get raised taxes. My electric bill, for example. The hurricane destroyed it. Gulf Power took it out, disconnected everything. I had to buy the pole, put the electric back in, pay for that. That was over $1,000 to get it back to where it was. My electric usage is nil. My bill is $37. Electric is going to go up, and it has gone up, and it will go up $8 a month extra for the next hurricane. So what do we got here? We're being punished. The people that paid the taxes are going to continue, and then we're going to get more, and we had to take care of it during a hurricane. I would appreciate that you stick to that. It may be we get it down. But think about the people that are on a fixed income, not even working, are going to have to pay these bills. And we, who were, did pay it all along. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Yes, Miss Arlene.
Is this increase in millage rate earmarked for any special project?
No, ma'am, it's an across the, it's for the
just-
entire budget.
So it just goes into the general slush fund?
Well, it goes into the general budget.
Yeah, okay.
Any other comments? City Manager, would you please read the resolution?
Sure. Before I read the resolution, the City of Lynn Haven, the rollback rate is 3.8281. The percentage of increase over the rollback rate is 12.33. Millage rate to be levied, 4.3. Resolution number 2020-09344. A resolution of the City of Lynn Haven of Bay County, Florida, adopting the final levying of an ad valorem tax for Bay County fiscal year 2020-2021, providing for an effective date.
So what is what would the commission like to do?
I'm going to make not something that I'm excited about at all, but I'm going to make the motion to approve. Again, due to other factors as well, such as some of the cost in order to fix some of these things and offset some of these. We had to hire some people, so I think we have to do it this year. I'll make the motion to approve.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion with the commission? Any other discussion with the public? Hearing none. City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Adoption of the new millage rate is 6:11 p.m. All right. Moving on to item B, proposed government fund, enterprise fund, and disaster recovery fund budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. City Manager, I believe you've got a report for this as well.
This is a fund that we actually opened up right after Hurricane Michael. We continue to track all of our expenses and revenue within this fund. After their comments, then I'll read the resolution.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Is there any comments for the commission? Any public comment? City Manager, would you please call or read the resolution?
A resolution of the City of Lynn Haven of Bay County, Florida, adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2020, providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Time of adoption, 6:12 p.m. Public hearing closed, 6:12 p.m. Item number 5, public hearing opened 6:13 p.m. Final reading of ordinance 1099, large-scale future land use map amendment from traditional neighborhood development to mixed use from Mill Bayou. And I believe the city planner has a report for us.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. This is the final reading of a proposed future land use map amendment via the required expedited state review process. The proposed amendment would amend the future land use map designation on 57.14 acres of vacant property located on Highway 390, known as the Villages at Mill Bayou, from traditional neighborhood development TND to mixed use MU. As the property is over 10 acres in size, the state requires that it go through the expedited state review process. Florida statutes require that the draft ordinance and supporting materials be transmitted to various state agencies for their review and comments prior to the City Commission being authorized to adopt the amendment. The property is located on the east side of Mill Bayou Boulevard, both south of the athletic fields and north of the fields, across the water to the east of Water Lily Cove and Shoreview Drive. The parcels located to the north and west of this parcel have traditional neighborhood development TND future land use map designations, while the parcels to the south and east have Bay County residential land use designations. A public hearing on the proposed amendment was held by the Planning Commission at their regular scheduled meeting of July the 6th, 2020, where the Commission voted by unanimous vote their recommendation that the City Commission transmit the proposed amendment. The City Commission held a public hearing on July the 14th, 2020, on transmitting the application to the Department of Economic Opportunity. The Commission voted unanimously to transmit. The application was transmitted to DEO on July the 20th, 2020. The City received correspondence from DEO on Tuesday, August the 18th, 2020, giving the City permission to adopt the proposed amendment as submitted, but advising that the City resolve any reviewing agency comments prior to adoption, as if they are not resolved, the comments could form the basis for a challenge to the amendment after adoption. The City received comments from FDOT and FDEP. FDOT determined that the proposed amendment would not result in adverse impacts to the surrounding roadway network, as there would be a reduction in potential traffic volume. And FDEP found no provision that, if adopted, would result in adverse impacts to the important state resources subject to the department's jurisdiction. There were no comments received from the other reviewing state agencies. Excuse me just a minute. So as a summary, this is the final reading and public hearing for ordinance number 1099, amending the future land use map for this property from TND to mixed use. And what that would mean for the property would be that under mixed use, there would be actually fewer types of development allowed. So with mixed use, you can have certain types of commercial, less intense than you can in regular commercial. You can have single family homes, multifamily homes. In TND, you can have all of those things. And multifamily includes apartments. You can have all of those things, but in a TND, additionally, you could have, more intense commercial, marinas, hotels. You've got a higher height limit. So there's actually more flexibility within a T&D than there is in a mixed use, which is why DEO were okay with it and why FDOT didn't have a problem with it. Potentially under a T&D, you could have up to 20 units per acre, but in mixed use, if you were doing residential only, you can only do 10 units per acre, which is why they were fine with the reduction. There's going to be a reduction in traffic, potentially. Now, the only way that they could get up to 20 units per acre in a mixed use would be if they added a commercial component.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
There's no action required on this item until item 12, so we're going to hold public commentary till we get to item 12. So public hearing closes at 6:17. All right, so now then we're on to item 6, the Mayor Pro Tem report. Like everybody else, we continually field questions. I have several questions about the backflow preventer, and I want to thank Mr. Kidwell for providing me the information that I needed for that. Other issues, obviously, stormwater, everybody's dealing with that, unfortunately. I want to remind everybody that the commission as a whole, we set policy, we create ordinances, and we act basically as a complaint department for the city of Lynn Haven. It is the city manager's job to operate the city and to run the city. So if you've got operational questions, I would suggest that you direct them to the city manager and let her try to answer them. And if you don't get the results you need, then come to the commission and see if we can take care of it. Just to give you some heads up on how things go. I want to tell you a little story that I ended up with a notice on my door about a month ago for a water bill, or actually the notice said that I had a leak, and I needed to find out what was going on with my house. The city determined that I was using too much water. Me being the person I am, I went out there and sat and watched my meter for about 20 minutes to try to see if I had a leak, and I decided I didn't have a leak. So I called the city and said, I think there's a problem with my meter, and I think y'all need to come look at it. Well, they sent me a report, a daily report of usage from my house that actually not only told me the amount of water I used every day, but it said my maximum flow rate. And of course, we have now determined that I left a garden hose on for like 4 days in a row. So it just pays, don't argue with the water department, because they're going to have the information to prove they're right. So just thought y'all would get a kick out of that. I toured the senior center today, and I got to tell you, I'm really, really impressed over there. They've got the insulations up, the outside's finished. Sheetrock's going to be delivered Friday. They're going to start hanging and painting next week. So that's really coming together, and Joe Fruiton and his guys have done an amazing job over there. And I want everybody to understand that couldn't have got done without the facilities department. Kane Griffin, if any of y'all have been by and drove by that park, I walked it today, and it gave me goosebumps walking around that park and seeing what it's turning into. Anybody that hasn't had a chance to see it needs to go by there and look at it. It's going to be a diamond in the rough for the city of Lynn Haven when it's done. So, and that's all I've got for the city manager report. Let's go to Commissioner Tender.
Thank you. Well, I've dealt with quite a few issues this week, many flooding issues. But before I start, I would like to commend the entire city staff and how they dealt with Hurricane Sally. I guess she was a hurricane. But I saw employees out there all day long. And I had somebody send me a text, and I'm going to paraphrase. They live up on 12th in Tennessee. And she said her and her husband were out raking out of their ditch in the rain. And one of the city employees stopped and came out and raked with them until they got their entire ditch raked out. And she didn't get his name, but she wanted me to mention him and commend him for that. So hats off to all of our staff. They obviously went way above and beyond. I've dealt with a lot of, today before I left work, I got 5 calls, and I thought it was a prank because they just came in one right after the other. I thought somebody's just messing with me. But various addresses with ditch issues. I forwarded all those on to Bobby and to the city manager, and still dealing with some code enforcement issues, but hope to get to the bottom of those pretty quickly. And then the last My last issue is and there's no other way for me to deal with this but deal with it here. And I want the other commissioners to be aware. It was brought to my attention that for the last year, our city has been paying for the hospitalization benefits for David Horton, who was arrested a year ago, who has pled guilty months ago. And the city is paying over $600 a month for his insurance and his benefits. And my only question, obviously, it would have to go to the city manager, is who authorized it and why are we doing that?
I will definitely answer that, no problem at all. When Mr. Horton was arrested, we did turn to our attorneys and say, how do we handle this? He is suspended without pay, but that means that he will have to pay his own portion of the health portion of the employee. And until he has pleaded out and his case is completely over, then we will continue to just pay the city's portion. He pays his portion. It's not like the city is paying all of his portion.
Mm-hmm.
He pays a portion, we pay a portion. And once that plea is completely finished, then we will no longer pay anything with Mr. Horton, but he is suspended without pay.
Mm-hmm. So he pays $125 a month, and we pay $607. That's over $7,000 that the city, the taxpayers, are paying for somebody who was arrested. I don't know for sure why we suspended him, but that's not up to me. But he's not been here. He has already pled guilty. So his case could go on for 2 more years, cost us $15,000, $25,000 in paying his hospitalization. It just seems a bit of a stretch to me.
Absolutely not negligent on our part at all, and it is about protecting the city, if anything else. If Mr. Horton, by chance, even a month ago, after pleading, I think he just pleaded out, it may have been last month, and we had decided that we were going to totally cut him loose, he could, and he were found innocent, he could come back and sue the city for wrongful. And so there is a point there, according to our attorneys, that we continue to do that until this case is totally settled.
Is that according to this attorney or the attorney who's also been arrested?
Labor attorney.
I think that's according to prior counsel, but I agree with that. Until the case is concluded, nothing needs to change.
Boy, thank you.
Is that in your report?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Commissioner Aldridge?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, it's hard to follow up because both of my counterparts kind of took everything that I was going to say. So that happens when you go third. I agree. I want to echo Commissioner Tender's remarks about the city staff. I was so proud of our staff. I was so proud of the guys and girls that got out, worked 24 hours, worked in the rain and the nastiness, and I rode around and I saw it as well. I rode and met Miss Vicky, and we saw some places that were flooding, and right out there in those places were guys and girls out there digging ditches. So we all came together, and that's what a community does. I mean, that's absolutely, we are part of the community. We're not, as I've said before, Washington, D.C. making rules. We're here with you digging the ditches. So I want to thank our staff and just give you all a high five on that. That was awesome. We are still dealing with flooding issues. It's a continuous situation, but I want to reassure everyone again, it was brought up in the workshop earlier, that stormwater is going to be a major focus for this commission in this city over this next year. So I think you're going to see some pleasing developments take place over the next 12 months. It's going to alleviate some of these issues that we've been having. We've hired some extra personnel and staff, as Ms. Vicky has said, that kind of specialize in these areas, and that's talent and things that we haven't had necessarily for certain stormwater issues. So I'm excited to get that going as well. The only other thing that I really got calls on was I think 17th Street with a survey that we're doing. Again, I just want to reassure the public on that one that the city's never here saying I want to punish someone. It's never our goal to try to just say, hey, look, I'm going to get at you and we're going to charge you money or whatever. The city's here to try to help as much as possible. And I want everybody to understand that when these letters go out, even though they sound impersonal sometimes, it's not our goal to try to upset anybody. So we're always going to be reasonable. And if you have an issue with a letter, please call us. I mean, we're humans, we're people. We'll work with you guys and do anything we can to help. So that's really all I have, Commissioner, or Mayor Pro Tem, sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner Perna?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'd just like to echo the sentiments of our other commissioners and thank all of our staff. I'd like to thank Bobby Baker and Public Works and Greg Kidwell for how they performed through the rain and deluge that we put up with. I'd like to thank Miss Vicki Gaynor because she got out in the neighborhoods. I mean, and went personally to people who were flooding and talked to citizens, and that reflects a character of someone who runs her city and meets things head on. So thank you, Miss Vicki. And I'd like to thank, of course, our police and fire and our first responders, and that's my report.
Thank you, sir. And on to the city manager's report.
Thank you. First and foremost, we did have bid openings today, and Jeff may talk a little bit more about this. We did have 3 bids that sent in proposals for the legal services, and now they're in the committee's hands to score them. Of course, they will come back to commission. I'll release those names to the commission tomorrow so you can know who they are and even do some investigation if you like. With that said, we have to give our team our committee time to go through those proposals, and they have a deadline of Monday, and then within that time also it has to come back before the commission to approve those, and we can do that by special meeting or we can wait until next meeting. Either way it goes, we're going to run out on the time for our current interim attorney, and so I'm going to just ask the commission if I can get a motion to extend his time until the transition of the new legal firm is in.
I move to extend the time of our attorney. So.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion with the commission? Any discussion with the public? Hearing none, city manager, please call the roll.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Next is our Employee of the Month. Our Employee of the Month is Stephen King. Stephen King actually works with the maintenance department with Joe Footen. They have those guys, every single one of them, and Joe said it's very, very difficult to actually find one, to choose one over the other in terms of Employee of the Month. Stephen has been with us a little bit over 4 years, has picked up some skills that he didn't have before working with Joe, has taken on a team lead, is absolutely it's just astounding when doing some other duties within what Joe gives him. It is very evident from the Garden Club and the Senior Center that's happening that these guys have learned a lot under him. And so I'd like to congratulate Stephen King as our Employee of the Month. Secondly, I also would like to thank one of our residents. I think that there was some discussion about our cemeteries needing to do a cleanup, fix-up kind of day. And one of our residents, and I just say thank you, Lisa Jackson-Jones, put it into action and said, hey, let's all volunteer and just get out there and help clean it up ourselves. This is the way we do things as citizens. Sometimes we all need to just get involved, and if you love your community enough, you'll do that, and we did. And along with working with our Parks and Grounds person, Mr. Ferris, they came up with what's called a cemetery cleanup day. Volunteers are needed. It's Saturday, October the 3rd, and it'll be at Mount Hope Cemetery and the Lynn Haven Community Cemetery. It begins at 7 a.m., ends at 1, and I think they're planning on cooking out and doing some other things. But I just want to thank the citizens who care enough about their city to put this together and be a part of it. So I want to put that on your radar as well. Next in my report, I want to publicly thank thank every department head from the girls and in the customer service who were fielding all of the calls. One of the things we had was call a post meeting. What did we do well? What didn't we do so well? And it came together, and most of the department heads, all of them said one thing we felt like we did well this time was communicate with each other, to have that camaraderie with each other. It's not just one department's problem. It is all of our problems, and it is all of our efforts to fix whatever needed to be fixed that day for Hurricane Sally. So I just want to say thank you to all of the department heads. Bobby headed this up along with our two chiefs, Fire Chief DeLonge and Police Chief Ramey, along with all of the department heads. Many of these people that you saw out in the rain, and including like the commissioner said, myself, these were people who did not work in public works. We had over 50 people out in the streets working, helping residents and trying to make sure that we were unclogging as many ditches as possible and making notes of those places that were some of our problem areas. So again, I just want to say thank you very, very much. We are working on what's called a RFP for CDBGR. This RFP, we hope, will help us solicit some good help in writing some of the applications for it's hundreds, millions of dollars that's out there for cities and counties. And this application will help us be competitive to pull some of that money and help us with some of the projects that are coming on board. We know that when DEO opens up the gate, we want to be part of that, and so we will, definitely bring it back to commission and speak to you more about it. But it's in the early stages, and I wanted to just let you know that. We are moving toward doing just a few things outside, and one of those being the fall concert series. We think that we are at a point that we can at least put the fall concert series out for a couple of weeks. It's going to be outside. We're going to ask our residents as they come out, they bring their own lawn chairs and social distance, wear masks for those who need to wear masks. But we're going to try to put that together sometime in October, and you'll see more about that as well. From talking to many residents and talking to other municipalities today, we annually we start hosting the trunk or treat, I think 3 years ago, right after Hurricane Michael. And but this year we have decided that is just something that is too massive to have that many kids and people out. Usually Sheffield Park is filled with about 5,000 to 7,000 people. And then just looking at this event and being on the CDC website, this is considered a high-risk event, meaning kids exchanging candy, people giving out candy, folks out in crowds, and we just want to keep our residents safe, our kids safe, and then those teachers these kids have to go back to school and be a part with those teachers. So, but we are going to look to November for our Winter Wonderland event. That's another outside event that we can spread out. There really are just vendors that are set up, and people can come out and kind of browse and shop in that area. So we're looking to do some things, but still trying to stay within the guidelines of the governor and following his advice. Also talking to the municipalities, most of them are going to open up their offices when the governor comes out with phase 3, and I think that's wise, and I'd like for the city to follow that as well. Lastly, I just want to say thank you to our budget committee team who's done a wonderful job, Kiki Roman and Shannon Scribner, for working on this budget now, all of us for about almost four months, and just want to give them great props and thank you as well. And that is my report.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Carter, you have a report for us?
I do, just a few things. Mayor, thank you. We did receive $381,000 from the carrier on the storm insurance claim. Yesterday, I think that was delivered to the city manager's office. As she mentioned, we did get the RFQ responses in, and they were open this morning. 3 firms responded, and the committee has that information in their hands for ranking, and that will be due on, I believe, the 28th, correct? The design contracts are done for Florida Architects and DAG for the buildings, and we're glad to get that done and signed. We'll need to get signatures on our end tonight after the meeting. We've made some more progress on existing code enforcement issues, and progress is starting on one specific property, the KC Solutions we had talked about at the last meeting, formerly owned by Capitala Holdings. And that's all I have for the moment.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to item 10, public commentary. Does anybody in the public, yes, sir, Mr. Salina?
Jim Slonina. I'd just like to compliment Vicki and her staff. Many of us have children, parents in the cemetery, and I think Ben, my Rotarian brother, will probably bring it to the Lynn Haven Rotary to see if we can't support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Arlene?
They threw out my water while I was gone. Everyone up here says they believe in transparency. And I would like to know, is it possible to live stream a video on our official City of Lynn Haven website?
I'm going to defer to, can we live stream on our website?
We will have to ask our web hosting company.
Okay. And I know we post pictures. Have we never posted video on that website?
On our city of, yes,
Yeah.
we posted, we upload those, but no,
Yeah.
you're talking live stream. So we've uploaded those pictures.
Oh, I see.
And yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
the difference.
Yes, ma'am.
And also, is it possible for people to comment on the topic on our official, on whatever the topic of conversation is in here, on our official City of Lynn Haven website? Is it possible for people to make comments?
No.
And who edits the videos?
Gosh, there's tons of them. Which ones are we talking about?
I'm talking about the city commission meetings.
The city commission meetings. Usually we upload that just like it is unless there's something, there's a lag time in there, but normally we upload that just like it is.
Okay. Some of the examples is there was a video without sound started. The video without sound started with the opening of the meeting. Often the ability for citizens to comment online on topics under discussion is turned off. This silences feedback from voters. It has happened many times that there are more city employees in the meeting than citizens. Why could they not be watching it on live stream elsewhere? The video should cover everyone at the table, which I believe now it does. Can someone be assigned to mic people when they speak from the audience? Can someone be assigned to read online comments? Can everyone up there please speak clearly into a mic that is turned on? I was told at the last 3 meetings that documents entered into the record would follow the minutes of the meeting. They do not. Could that be corrected retroactively? This lackluster enthusiasm about the importance of this documentation gives the impression that it is not important, but it is. Thank you in advance for your attention to this matter, and I am entering this into the record.
Ma'am, it's my understanding that Mr. Carter, would you please explain it?
I'd be happy to. I've advised the commission to no longer accept, it wasn't a policy to accept public comment documents into any record because we don't maintain those documents for the purpose of transacting city business. So to the extent that it doesn't serve that purpose, I've directed the commission to no longer accept these.
To accept what?
To accept documents provided by citizens during public comment that aren't used for purposes of transacting city business.
Well, documenting these commission meetings seems like city business to me.
I won't argue with you on that point one way or the other, ma'am, but this is a list of questions and requests, correct?
Okay. Maybe Vicki you could get back to me on that then, maybe? Could anybody get back to me on that, maybe?
I will be more than happy to sit down with you and talk about every concern you
No,
have
could
here.
you can just email me the answers, because that'd be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Walker.
There we go. Continuing on that, I was going to get up on during the minutes and wonder why we didn't have in the minutes a document that was presented for the record. And I just overheard part of that. But my question is, if that's the official take on this, then how do we get a hold of that record that was presented to this commission as public record? How do we get a hold of it to see what that record was, that person, what that person's saying? How do we get a hold of that?
If I may, Mayor,
Yes, you
I'm
may.
happy to answer. Documents that we have recently accepted from members of the public are available for public record request production, but the city does not, this isn't court. We don't maintain a record
I
simply
follow that,
because
yeah.
the citizens want to provide them, and we appreciate your comments and your insight very, very much. But that's just not part of the documentation that we use to transact business. That's why I've advised the commission to no
Right,
longer
right.
accept those documents.
I understand that.
Now, to the extent something's been produced recently, since I've been here, we've had at least one public records request for those specific documents. It's being fulfilled, and if you'd like to make one, that will be fulfilled also.
Okay, that answers my question. How do we get that? And to make sure it gets dispersed as transparency. But thank you. I follow it.
Yes, sir.
Thank
You're
you
very
much.
welcome.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Christy McElroy, Gulf County. That's the most interesting conversation I've ever seen. I have to say, I'm the one that did the public records request for my own records, because what was offered up to me was the return of my documents. I don't want my documents returned. I want taxpayers and citizens to be able to see those items. You had an attorney that did recommendations to all of you people, and you took his recommendations. He has now been charged with close to 64 different federal charges in a 52-page indictment. So I think it very much lacks transparency, and I'm happy, Mr. Attorney, to pay the $17 for copies of my own documents. I want you all to know I've had individuals, men, in this county call my boyfriend to try to silence me. And I grew up here, as did my boyfriend, and he knows there is no silencing me. So what I do as a public citizen, as an American, and to not take documents for the record is extraordinarily out of the ordinary. And this will not be the last time that I speak on this subject, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem, ma'am, but thank you for your comments. So is there any other comments for the public? Yes, sir.
Tony Bostic, 3910 Arbitrace Drive. Good evening, Mayor, Madam Manager, and fellow commissioners. Madam Manager and Commissioners, thank you for your participation in the Resilient American Communities Wastewater Surveillance Program discussion today. I believe that we will all benefit greatly from this program. Mr. Greg Kidwell represented the city well. At the last meeting, I observed that you allowed certain individuals to exceed the customary 3 minutes afforded to each member of the public during the public forum portion of these type of meetings. And as a result, those individuals enjoyed an unfair advantage to speak while others may have felt slighted. I encourage you to establish and enforce a set of standards equitable to all. I also observed that certain individuals had statements read without having their identity made known. If individuals speaking before this body are required to identify themselves when speaking before you, then individuals submitting statements in their absence should be identified as well, or their statements should not be read before this body. I make these pleas due to the fact that if you ask the residents of Lynn Haven to have respect for this institution, you must set the standard and equitably enforce it. Thank you for your attention and for allowing me this opportunity to come before you. May God crown your heads with wisdom to continue leading the city of Lynn Haven. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, sir. Any other public commentary? None? Okay, moving on to item number 11, consent agenda. So consent agenda is motion or minutes of the 9/8/20 regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion with the public? Any discussion with the commission?
I just wanted to ask, city manager, were those the minutes that they just had changed? The ones he's talking about?
The one he just gave you.
There were changes to those minutes? Somebody brought them up here.
Oh, no.
Oh.
It was prior to
Oh.
that. I'm sorry. It was 8/11.
Thank you. I just want to make sure.
Oh, sure.
Any public comment? None? Hearing none, city manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes, motion approved.
Mayor
Old
Pro
bus-
Tem, if I may, I just want to revisit the public commentary and the just overall sentiment of the people, Miss Arlene in particular.
Go ahead.
And I just want to ask Graham a question, because Graham, is there a way that we might be able to figure out what's the best way to broadcast? So, I know we're doing it on YouTube right now, and Mr. Ryan Scray, he texted me to tell me that we only have 38 people watching on YouTube right now. So is there another format? I know we used to be on Facebook, or is there another way possibly if we can maybe explore the fact of doing it on our own website, at whatever cost, if it's too costly or what, but
Using another third-party platform is the best option, either whether that be YouTube or Facebook, and then boosting it from that platform onto our own Facebook page is the most cost-effective and most technical advantageous way
Right.
for us to do it.
But uploading is after the fact, and if we want people to watch it live, we would be better off with a third party, you said?
Doing it how we're currently doing
Oh.
it, because we stream it live in real time, and we send out the link to our site page, so
Right.
people can watch it in real time at live. Sometimes we have technical difficulties that result in lost audio or missing people, and we try to record it on a third, SD card to come back and upload and get part 1, 2, and 3 later, to try to, give y'all the full view of what was going on, not leaving one out, feeling like we're missing something, but switching from YouTube or Facebook would be the best only option, and then pushing that onto our city website is the most cost-effective way to do that.
I just thought we might want to hear what he had to say, so we can explore options if we need to, and try to. Can we do both? Can we do YouTube and Facebook?
Look into that. Yeah.
Because that might capture more people. So
And Mayor Pro Tem, if I can add on to what Commissioner Perno's saying, I get equally as many complaints, not only that they can't hear, but also they can't call in, they can't text in. The last meeting I was on my phone because people kept texting me, asking questions, sending in all of their things, and I got public requested. They wanted to know who I was talking to and what was said and whatnot. And I certainly didn't mind that, but I shouldn't have to do that. I mean, either we give them a phone number to call and somebody sits in here and answers it or something. And then I just got to thinking too, City Manager, since we've added that new COVID expenditure account where we can charge or whatever the expenses that we have due to COVID, why can't we go to a bigger venue and add that 800 a month on, or whatever they were charging us to go to the school or something, to get the people back interested in coming to the meetings, you know, a bigger venue so that they can come and I agree with you, because I've had friends that say, I don't even listen anymore. I don't even go on. It's so aggravating because I can't hear anything. So they don't even attend.
Can I respond?
Yes, ma'am, of course.
I'm
One
sorry, I
of,
didn't
the,
mean to.
one of the reasons why we went to YouTube is because when we were on Facebook, we lost connection several times, and the residents complained that we lost connection, and we could not get those back at all. The Facebook did not deliver those back. So we wanted to go somewhere where we could actually record it and upload it to the city website, and always have a recording of the commission meeting. And so that was one of the reasons we went to use YouTube, so that that would never happen again. There are many options. There is nothing here that we are trying to hide from the public. We want public input. I invite people all the time to come to my office. My door is open. Sit down and talk to me about anything. And actually, I have a tabletop tomorrow, very open forum. People talk and listen and ask questions. You can do those as well. But we can surely explore any opportunities to put our meetings out there.
Thank you. Since we stepped back to public commentary, sir, I'm going to let you speak.
I didn't.
That's okay. That's okay. I'd rather let him get a chance to talk.
I know.
Somebody somewhere, sooner or later, is going to say, well, you're going to this and you're going to get a new web hoster and you're going to get this and that, and it's going to cost the city money.
Right.
So let me give you a simple solution. Pay $24.95 a month for Zoom. You Zoom the meeting. I see you have your digital camera already there. You Zoom it. You can transfer it from Zoom to Facebook. The link is seamless. If anybody has a comment, they can type it in the chat window. It comes up, and whoever here monitors that, and it costs you $24.95 a month. And with that, you can also record it from Zoom, and you can record it from Facebook. And so now you have a digital record, and it only costs the city $24.95 a month.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to suggest the commission may direct the city manager to do that. So by direction, we need a motion, a second.
I'd like to make a motion that we explore our options for the online and show our meetings in the best way to catch a wider net of people to be at our, and since we have such small venues right now, so.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion with the commission? Any discussion with the public? Hearing none, city manager, please call the roll.
Commissioner Prano?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes, thank you. So let's get some clarification. I have not gone through item 12 yet, correct? Okay. So old business number 12, final reading of ordinance 1099, large-scale future land use amendment, map amendment, from traditional neighborhood development to mixed-use Mill Bayou. As you remember, this was the discussion from item 5 that the city planner had a report on. City manager, would you please read the resolution?
Sure.
Or the ordinance, I'm sorry.
The ordinance. Ordinance number 1099, an ordinance of the City Commission for the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending the adopted comprehensive plan, providing for purpose and intent, providing for title, amending the future land use map from traditional neighborhood development, TND, to mixed use for 2 parcels of land located on Highway 389, which is approximately 57.14 acres within the city, as more accurately described within the body of the ordinance, providing for severability, providing for a copy of a file, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, city manager. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion with the commission? Hearing none, any discussion with the public? Hearing none, City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Motion approved. Okay, moving on to new business. Item number 13, discussion and approval to nominate a commissioner to the vacant TPO Transportation Planning Organization representative seat held by former Mayor Margot Anderson. When Margot resigned from her seat as city manager, that opened a seat on the TPO board that we need to fill. So I would,
I'd like to make the motion that we put Miss Judy Tender to represent the city onto the TPO board.
Thank you so much, but I reject that. I think, aren't you going now? Aren't you
I
going?
am. Actually, there's a meeting today. There was a meeting at 3:30 today, but I had to RSVP no for the meetings that we had today. So
Right. I think you're doing a great job.
I'm doing a
we-
fabulous
we
job.
actually-
They need to do two.
we
though.
actually hold 2 seats on the board.
Oh, really? But
Yeah.
does somebody have to be there?
That only leaves Dan at this point.
They might just leave one empty seat.
I'm happy going, continuing on as the TPO representative. So
Now, look, on a
They're
serious
neat.
note, if you guys want to put me on that board, it doesn't matter.
I
Doesn't
I
bother me.
totally make a motion that Commissioner Aldridge attend with Commissioner Perno.
I'm
Second that?
I'll second the motion just to move forward.
Back.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there any other discussion with the public, or with the commission? Any discussion with the public? City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tender,
Absolutely, yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Sorry. Yes.
It's all good.
All right, so motion passes. Moving to number 14. Approval, I just got to stop for a second. I really appreciate the lightheartedness of these meetings now. I mean, we all seem to get along. There's not a lot of confrontation. I appreciate that, Commissioner. I just want to let y'all know that. Item 14, approval to sign the CARES Act Corona Relief Fund sub-receipt agreement for reimbursement of expenses for fiscal year 2020 to provide direct assistance to state, tribal, territorial, and local governments to fund certain necessary and allowable expenses incurred due to the public health emergency with respect to COVID-19. City Manager, I believe you've got a report.
Yes, it is just agreement so that we can get reimbursed. I've already submitted in one reimbursement for a little bit over $25,000 for COVID. And this agreement, we just need to turn in as a formality so that we can, even any other reimbursements, we'll be able to send in.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion with the commission? Any discussion with the public? Hearing none, City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes, motion approved. Thank you. Item 15, discussion and approval, or possible approval, of an award for the State Highway 77 beautification project to the lowest bidder, Rotello Consultants, Inc. And I believe Ty has a report for us.
Yes, sir. On September 8th, we opened bids, and the low bid was Rotolo at $400,712, and the next responsive bid up was $66,000 more. So I asked that we're pretty darn close to that $400,000 grant, so I asked that you folks take that into consideration and award.
And this is funded through a grant, correct?
Correct.
So, very good. So, the commission have any questions for Ty?
I do, please. Is the owner of this company here by chance tonight?
Actually, I don't believe so. Now, they're based out of Louisiana, but it's my
That was my
understanding.
question. Where are they from?
Their headquarters in Louisiana. However, I think they do a lot of work through the Destin-Fort Walton corridor,
Okay, thank you.
which is hopeful.
Yeah, when we got these bids, I don't know what we did, but did we follow up to make sure they've done other work in this area? And the reason I asked that question, I'm going to tell you this up front.
Okay.
I did look up, I went into their business background, and there's a lot of connections. They start out getting their LLC in Louisiana, and then they veer off and it goes to Tampa, and there's about 5 or 6 different business connections, but the 2 owners of the company in Tampa live in Santa Rosa and Destin. So I'm just a bit confused. If you're not worried that they're gonna be here and perform this job, and they must obviously come and just till they finish.
Yeah, Commissioner, I have not looked into the background. I will defer to our consultant that handled the bid package, possibly.
I didn't see Chris back there. I have a question for you too.
I actually reached out to DOT.
Okay.
And they've done a lot of DOT work. They're DOT certified. They do a lot of the DOT beautification type projects. They actually have the new contract with Bayhaven to do the maintenance on all their ball fields and all of their facilities in the schools. So
Okay.
they do have a lot of experience doing this type of work.
And then you know the question that I'm about to ask, don't you?
I don't.
Is your fee included in this
No, that's,
thing?
no.
And
We were already under contract, which has been probably a year ago.
okay. And do you remember what it is? Your fee?
I don't remember the total, but I think there's somewhere around 20,000 left in it to oversee construction.
To oversee 20,000. Can I get that from you?
Yes, the commission did approve this, I think it was
Right.
last year.
Yep,
Yeah.
last year
Right.
sometime.
I'm just
Yes.
curious. I'm
Yes.
just curious. The percentage that, we engineer. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion with the commission? Any discussion with the public? Hearing none, city manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes, motion approved. Item 16, discussion and possible approval for resolution 2020-09-346, adopting the Bay County Local Mitigation Strategy Plan. City manager, would you take it
Res-
over?
Resolution number 2020-09-346, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Bay County, Florida, adopting the local mitigation strategy plan and providing for an effective date. And I'm going to ask our Fire Chief, John DeLonge, to come up and speak on this.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor Pro Tem, City Manager, Ms. Gaynor. Basically, what this is about every 5 years we have to update this. This plan, by approving this, will allow us to procure federal and state grants that HMGPs, your LMS, your CDBGs. If we don't accept this, we won't be able to get that future funding. As of September 30th, the current one runs out, and that's why we dropped this in on the last minute. We finally got FEMA approval and state approval to proceed with this, and that's why we're bringing it to you tonight.
Thank you, sir.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion with the commission? Any discussion with the public? Hearing none, city manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes, motion approved. Thank y'all very much for coming out this evening, and y'all have a wonderful evening. 2 minutes.